Hola, 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 mi gente. How are you? How is everyone? How's everyone feeling this evening? Hi, everybody in the chat. Yes, emailer, you finally catching a live. Good to see you as well. How are you? How is my wonderful panel? I think we lost Haran for the night. That's okay. We're gonna hold it down for him.
Yes. Yeah, there's crazy weather going on around here.
Yeah, it's crazy, but we're here. We're gonna hold it down. We are here. Can you guys hear me okay? Testing.
Yep.
My mic sounds nice. All right, guys, how are you? I hope everybody is good. The subject is interesting because we kind of touched on it a little bit before here, and we all have our theories. I have mine. I think there's some truth to it. I want to jump right into it. I may take a break for 3 minutes somewhere in between because I have to grab myself a drink. But as of now, I am with you. Okay. What's up, lovely Lisa? Good to see you as well. And since we have some new pretty ladies in the building as well as the gentlemen, let's get right into this, okay? No fluff. For anyone that's new here, fluff is usually when we talk about other stuff before we get into the topic. But I was late, so I will get right into it. Can you guys hear me okay?
You having a problem coming through in the headphones?
Yeah, for some strange... Okay, that's better. Some strange reason. We got testing. Okay, we are good. All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe now that you are here. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. Our names are on the board if you want to follow us on Instagram or YouTube on our other platforms. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to catch Lily and I on Sisterhood Sips. We are at millions of views weekly, and it's well deserved because we really shoot from the hip over there. It's a lot of lady talk. Men are learning, and women are getting cosigns that they needed for many, many years. Okay, so check us out on Sisterhood Sips. It's on its own channel. It is on its own YouTube channel, and it also has its own Instagram page. And if you are a lady with a great story and you are ever in Vegas, let us know. Maybe you could pull up to the Sisterhood Sip studio. We can hang out, talk about the boys while the boys listen. Hi, No Saint, how you feeling?
Very well, thank you. It's been a cold day. Cold day.
I feel so bad for all of you. So cold. I live in Vegas, so I don't know what y'all talking about anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, it's freezing.
Really?
Yeah. And then the heat here in New York, it's like either purgatory or non-existent. There's no in between. There's literally no in between. So today they decided to do Hell 2.0. Yesterday was total Arctic blast. And so yeah. You just gotta kind of know how to, what do you call it, adjust and do things on your own if you live in New York. You gotta open windows in the winter time.
I remember. What's up, Big Daddy Stovepipe? That's an interesting name. All right, so I'm gonna play this video. And again, like I said before, we touched on it somewhat in the past. This woman, do BBLs attract broke men as a status symbol? Do BBLs attract broke men as a status symbol? A couple layers to this. We have a couple of examples, but we also have a couple of, I guess you would say, wealthy men who have a BBL on their arm. So let's get into this. Let's play the video, and then we could dissect from there. Somebody gonna play Jeopardy music for me?
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Where Let me protect my DMs, honey, because I don't want people all in my world. Their little nosy selves.
Okay. Won't they be?
Yes, they will. Okay, so let me share the screen.
I like that color.
Black, isn't it beautiful?
That's why I've been on my all black. That's been my uniform.
Oh my God, Lily.
It's
I
just so
kind of
easy.
thought she had a modern day pretty Adrian look from Rocky.
Who?
when Adrian first met Rocky in the store, and she had that little cap on, and I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of remember. I was just like, I'm not taking my hair down, and it's not happening.
Yeah.
Mhm. We're having a little trouble. Let me play this video. Listen to this video, guys, because I want the chat also to chime in on this chat what your experience is on this as well. Okay, okay. I want to hear what you guys think. I have my theories. Of course, the panel's gonna have their theories. Sometimes we match, sometimes we don't. Okay, let's listen to the lady.
Cox Fiber powers one of the most connected stadiums in the world on the biggest game days of the year.
I might get some hate for this, but this is 100% the truth. BBLs attract poor men, broke men, same thing, no different. Because from what I know, a lot of wealthy men like women with natural bodies. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with getting a BBL at all. But I know a lot of women, they'll go into Tijuana and they'll go to different countries to go and get a BBL because they assume that this will attract men with more money. I'm sorry. That's never the case. It really isn't. And maybe there's at least like 2 or 3 of them that are okay with it. And that's like really, really rare if you're really lucky. But for the most part, from what I know, a lot of wealthy men like a lot of natural things, especially when it comes to like nails or the way that you look from your face or the way that you're presenting yourself. Because from what I know is a lot of wealthy men say BBLs scream loud and crazy or whatever. Like I said, nothing wrong with getting cosmetic procedures done. But that's just the cold, hard truth.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. Add products.
You know me, I like to play it twice so you can listen.
Cox Fiber powers one of the most connected stadiums in the world on the biggest game days of the year.
I might get some hate for this, but this is 100% the truth. BBLs attract poor men, broke men, same thing, no different. Because from what I know, a lot of wealthy men like women with natural bodies. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with getting a BBL at all. But I know a lot of women, they'll go into Tijuana and they'll go to different countries to go and get a BBL because they assume that this will attract men with more money. I'm sorry. That's never the case. It really isn't. And maybe there's at least like 2 or 3 of them that are okay with it. And that's like really, really rare if you're really lucky. But for the most part, from what I know, a lot of wealthy men like a lot of natural things, especially when it comes to like nails or the way that you look from your face or the way that you're presenting yourself. Because from what I know is a lot of wealthy men say BBLs scream loud and crazy or whatever. Like I said, nothing wrong with getting cosmetic procedures done. But that's just the cold, hard truth.
Okie dokie. So that is I got some things to say about this. Do you agree or disagree with her, Lily?
I wholeheartedly agree with her, and I have some stuff I would like to add to that. I have some theories behind this, but I wholeheartedly agree with her. I don't know if we're ready for my theory yet.
I'm curious. What about you, No Saints? What do you do? Agree or disagree? He literally said it attracts broke men.
I have a real hard time. She said some key words in there. From what I know, she said, which means she really doesn't know. I don't know if she had any procedures done. I was looking at her face. I'm like, did she have any procedures done? You know, I mean, I know she said there was no, she wasn't shaming anybody for it. But come on. How many, I mean, okay, so she said some very crucial things from what she knows and the people she knows, so do I know? I have no idea. If people with means don't like BBLs. And what bracket are we talking about? Are we talking about the top 1%? Are we talking about people that are in the 100,000 you know, I'm not sure what she considers broke. So I don't know. But you know, it's a possibility. I don't know. I didn't take a survey. It's definitely not a scientific survey, what she's talking about. And she says it's 100% truth, which is always always gets my antennas up when somebody says the 100% truth. But hey, it's a TikTok video, right?
Right. So, so for the sake of the stream tonight, let's just assume she hasn't had any procedures. She looks natural. She looks natural to me. I didn't see a nose job. I didn't see the Botox. I didn't see the stiff mouth. So let's just take that off the table. Let's take the 100% off the table, right? Because we don't have statistics. We don't know. So let's just go by experience. Let's do tonight. Chat you as well. Let's just go by experience, what we've seen, right? Because although we don't have stats in front of us, we've lived, right? We've seen people date, we've seen celebrities, we've seen wealthy people, we've seen poor people. As far as tax bracket, we'd be here all night, right? I think we know a man of means when we see one, for the most part. Yeah. So, which takes me to my point. There's, in my opinion, you know, going back to this woman here, this body is very much praised. This figure, this body is very much praised. And please don't take me back to, you know, the years of before civilization and men liked those, what is it, those robust, round bellied, those Santa Claus bellied women. I know that was a time. I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I'm not talking about that. Okay. So this woman here in the middle, that's Kimbella. That is a rapper's baby mama. That body there in the middle, the girl with the cell phone in her hand, as you see, her vaginal area is protruding. So are her hips. So are her boobs. Now, that's not a natural body. That's a BBL body. They put emphasis on the hips, the crotch area. They make the waist very tiny and the boobs get bigger and bigger, right? That is the very common BBL body. Those are the parts they swell up, right? To caricature size. They are caricatures of women. They are caricatures of the female form. That's not a normal body. It is literally a caricature. It reminds me of big wheel truck events where you go and you sit and you chug some beers and you find it very entertaining that they put 1-story, 2-story wheels on a truck. It is fun. Okay. You get to see them crashing into each other. Then you go home to your normal car. Yeah. Because those cars would not be sustainable in a real world. Right. Men, I know in general, this is men in general, broke, poor, whatever. Men like big tits, big asses. They just like them. They like more, more, more. Men like more. They like 85-inch screen TVs, right? The bigger, the better. They like the monster trucks. They like California king-size beds, which I fucking hate because it's a bitch getting sheets and changing it. Anyway. But men like more. They think in abundance. They like the big jug of beer. Yeah. Men like that shit. So I get that men in general would find that body attractive, right? Look at that big crotch. Look at them big hip. Wow. But that body that I just showed you is very popular in urban areas, right? For lack of a better term, that body is very popular in urban areas, right? Let's not pretend it isn't. Now, will you find a very wealthy 1%? Let's go back to what you said. know what I'm saying? A one percenter. Will you find some weird one percenter that has some sort of fetish every now and then that probably likes that? Perhaps. But when we look at their wives, let's go back to the gowns, women that you want to show up with, to the gala, to the charity events, even around your friends. You want to look expensive all the way around, and women are a status symbol, right? Hence, the trophy wife is very real. Would that woman there be a trophy wife at an event where the 1%, going back to what you said, know what I'm saying? Where the 1% are living, thriving, talking about money, business relationships? Would she be a good look or an eyesore? Now let's flip it. If Joel Santana, a rapper, pulled up on Prospect Avenue in the Bronx with this woman there in the middle, would that be a status symbol for him? Would all his boys be, giving him pounds and hugging like, yo, that's you? That's you? Would that be a status symbol for him in the South Bronx? Right? And I'll pass the mic. I got more to say, but Lily, your theory?
So, for my theory, and this is right on time because there's a story going viral right now. It's another one of those trans women versus biological women. And there was some trans women that said to the BBL girls, you all stole our look. She did that whole divisive thing to go viral, right? Now, you've heard me say something about this before, but not in a way that like, oh, you biological women are still in the trans girls look. No, there's nothing in me that feels like that biological women were sitting around, you know what I want to do? I think I want to look more like a trans woman. Yeah. Right. That's not, I don't think that's what happened, but that's what ended up happening. Okay. So this look here was always synonymous with trans women back in the day when I was coming up and everything like that, up until the LGBTQ movement. Okay. And the reason why it became different after that, because before the LGBTQ movement, trans women weren't able to get jobs. Okay. There weren't many options for trans women to make a living. And a lot of them were put out of their homes as teenagers and things like that. So a lot of them, and they was using Fixer Flat to get this look back in the day. Okay. So this look was always being done in the Motel 6. Okay. And it was a vixen look so that they can sell their body, because it's meant to be a caricature. It's meant to be over exaggerated in those areas to attract that particular type of attention. But once they was able to start getting work in legitimate places, they started toning it down to look more natural and to blend in with society. But then something weird happened. This thing called the Instagram model. And Instagram models realized they could use that same formula to build up their following, to get money for OnlyFans and things like that. So the trans women and the biological women, not all biological women, but the ones who were trying to use their body to make money, not for sex necessarily, but, it could have been Instagram, OnlyFans, or sex, right? They realized that it attracted that type of sexual attention, right? So when I see this look, my brain still goes to, I have to go like this. Is that a trans woman? Because my brain has always associated that look with trans women for 30 years of my life. So for me to try to switch it up now, it's kind of difficult, which why I understand why people have an issue with pronouns. You're trying to switch it up and you 50, 60, 70, 80, you trying to tell grandma what your pronouns are. Like, no, like it's hard to switch it up. So I still see that. Mm-hmm.
Well, that is a interesting story. Yeah, the girl in the middle that she was showing reminded me of, it was almost like a Barbie, like the very
That's
exaggerated.
what they call themselves. That's what they call themselves.
Okay.
It's a whole community. Yeah. It's a world. Like it's like the Vixens and the dolls, they have a world. Like one of my girlfriends took me into that world, and I was like, oh wow, it's a community. It's a large community. It's got smaller, over the last couple of years because BBLs are kind of going out of style, right? Because the IG model was gone out of style. So it's not as much incentive, but you still have the OnlyFans girls, right? They start making their coins. But yeah, one of my girlfriends showed me, like, it's a world, like it's a thing. It's like just like a secret society in a way. And they all they all are aware of each other, and they all can tell whose doctor did who because the doctors have their signature or whatever. But I'm just like, they all look the same to me. But
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're making a very interesting accusation. Are you saying that the BBL'd women, are you saying that they're emulating and imitating and copying, would you say drag women, drag queens, or something like that? You think that's where they got it from? That's why they're doing it?
yeah, the drag queens and the trans women have been doing it. Like the drag queens do the padded look. Drag queens are meant to be exaggerated forms of women. Drag queens are not supposed to look natural. They're supposed to be entertaining, larger than like 15 wigs and size triple G breast and the hip. Like that's supposed to be entertaining. That, like you said, it's not sustainable for walking out of the club. They take all that shit off before they leave the club. And then for the trans women, they were wearing that look because a lot of them were sex workers and they attracted their clientele that way. So do I feel like these ladies are doing that on purpose? No, but they end up looking like that. I don't think they set out to look like that, but they end up looking like that. I don't think they realize that look is synonymous to any queer person of my age group. It fucks us up. We all talk about it. It messes our head up because we all think it's a trans woman when we initially see it.
Interesting. See, this is why I love this panel. So many
I mean,
different.
it makes me think. It makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder, though, because I didn't know. I did not know that this was something going on for 30 years in the LGBTQ or the trans community. I had no idea. Yet, when I think, I don't know. I'll speak for myself. Like, if you talk about 20 years ago, whatever, the exaggerated breast, were always intriguing. The breast implants, now they're kind of the norm. And so when I see, like I told you, before I even knew anything about a BBL, I would see them on Instagram, and I was like, wow. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not attracted to a normally shaped woman as well, but it wasn't something like I thought, oh, in other words, and then I saw people that were trans that obviously had some things done to them, right? And I just thought, okay, so technology has caught up. I didn't realize that the trans were doing that well before it became cool to do on Instagram. So it makes me really interested, but it still makes me think, so, okay, so what men are attracted to these women? And yeah, I understand what Jen's saying. There are a certain segment of society that might not take a woman that looks like that to like the CEO Christmas party, I guess, I don't know, man. You got me thinking, though. You got me thinking about some of this stuff. It's interesting.
It's
Well,
a
there-
novelty look. I was just saying it's a novelty look. So there was a lot of men who are attracted to this look, but it's more for like a novelty. It's not sustainable outside of like a certain purpose.
like a big wheel truck, like a monster truck.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. I did want to say, going something you said, No Saint. The reason why affluent men, and the reason why I say urban is because someone said just say it. Something about just say that it's niggas who like that, right? Here's the thing: it's not, in my opinion, race specific. It really is. It really is an urban thing, because even when white boys try to act black, there's a couple of white boys running around, athletes, whether in the NBA or NFL, they usually go for this type of woman, right? But they're in a very urban culture. Athletes are very urban. Why? Because they're predominantly Black, right? The NFL, NBA, they're predominantly Black, right? So it has a very heavy urban, you know what I mean, swag to it. So even when the white boys are playing, hanging out in a predominantly Black world, and they usually go for a Black woman who's built like that, right? In an affluent society where you're talking about the 1%, walking in with that woman would be embarrassing. It would be embarrassing. She would look misshapen. She would look low rent. She would look cheap. But in urban areas, in urban environments, right, the guy would look like he's doing something. So there's some science to that. There's some science in there, right? I think why that type of woman is so popular in urban areas is because there's a lot of poverty in urban areas. And in urban areas, follow me, people exaggerate their jewelry, people exaggerate their rims, people exaggerate with designer labels. There's not a lot of money floating around. So what they do is they try to pretend, so they go bigger and shinier, right? The appearance of wealth, the appearance of more. So running around with a girl that looks like that adds to that aesthetic. But the higher in the tax bracket you go, the slimmer the woman gets. Are we going to pretend that we don't see that? And that's not race specific.
Right.
When you look at a Michael Jordan and the women he's had on his side, when you look at an Eddie Murphy, right? Those are Black men. You never see them running around with women that look like that. When we're talking about, oh, okay, well, it's a race specific. It is not. When you look at the women that wealthy, affluent Black men have on their arm. To be quite honest, sometimes Beyonce gets a little too heavy for that tax bracket.
And she snatches it right back down every time.
You could quote me on that. Sometimes Beyonce gets a little too chunky for that tax bracket. Be honest.
Yep, she snatches it every time.
So that's what I see. That's why I say urban, because in urban areas there's a habit of trying to look like you have more than you have. That is how we grow up. That is why they run out and buy the ridiculous amounts of jewelry and diamonds, and they got to show you they have money. It's very important to show you I have money. So if I get this girl with this huge old ass and these huge titties, I'm going to look like I have more. So it's very interesting. And there is some science behind it.
Because with most men, a woman is one of the symbols of his success. And so the urban guy versus the higher income bracket guy, their symbols are going to look different. Just like there are things in urban culture, not just the BBL, but there are other things in urban culture that are considered cool in urban culture and are embarrassing in other cultures. For instance, in urban culture, it's cool to be dumb. And you go into the galas and the balls, and it's like, no, like I went to one last year with someone who is probably one of the smartest people I know. And before we walked in, they were doubting themselves, like, oh, I hope I'm smart enough to be able to hold these conversations with these people, because the people who we were going to be with were one of the people who started Call of Duty and some other, again, like a lot of the gamer starter people, they were there. And so it sounds different. It looks different. The room looks different. The conversations sound different. And so what's considered high status in one group of people, it's embarrassing in another group of people, and vice versa. It's very interesting.
Right. Also, speaking of dumb, I want to be fair. White women become hugely popular when they're dumb as well, especially if they're blonde. That's why Paris Hilton did it. That's why Jessica Simpson did it. That's why Marilyn Monroe did it. It's very, very popular when blondes act dumb. They get very, very popular. I mean, Jessica Simpson is a fucking fashion mogul now. Paris Hilton is very successful, though she came from money, right? Marilyn Monroe, there were lots of blondes running around back when Marilyn Monroe was running around with hips and big tits. But she was the most popular because she had a brand of acting what? Stupid. Anna Nicole Smith, same thing. Stupid, right? So you're right, Lily. Some things are popular. Some things are more popular in certain areas, and then not popular in other areas. You know, it is a mindset. It's a mindset.
Abby said those BBLs are too sexually specific. This is the thing, right? They look sexual, but a lot of them girls can't move. Like, so it's like you get them behind closed doors and it doesn't function. It's like one of those things that is just it's a novelty. I guess I keep going back to that. It's a novelty. Because I see some of the girls and I'm just like, why is she so stiff? You know,
well, I think it's also people don't realize, like, aesthetically, yeah, oh wow, look at it with a big ass and big tits, but you are having major surgery. That's major surgery. The needle that they use is the same thing that they use to embalm corpses.
mm-hmm.
The liposuction needle. That's why women have had their lungs punctured, their organs punctured. The needle is yay big to move that fat around and snatch the waist. Right? It's the same thing they use on a corpse, but it's safe on a corpse. The corpse isn't gonna die. I'm here all week, folks. You know, so it's very dangerous. So you're recovering from basically a car accident, and your body inside is forming scar tissue. So you got scar tissue in the boobs, scar tissue in the waist, scar tissue in the hips. You have to learn to move and walk around again. We've seen how they look. We've seen some documentaries. You know what I mean? They're bleeding while they're healing. They're in a very tight girdle. And then they have to continue wearing the Spanx to keep it all in place. And because they're not, into physical fitness at all, the body starts morphing into other things. The fat is like, I don't belong here. Let me move around. Then they get the big old backs.
You see the back? You see Young Miami with the back fat yesterday? Everybody was talking about.
Yes. So you're basically watching someone recovering from a bad accident. So they're going to be agile after that. Now you got all this, weight to walk around with. So your best bet is to stand in the mirror and take selfies, you know what I mean, in this position.
And then on it's so many things in these damn BBLs. There's just so many things with these BBLs. They're just wrong all the way around. We have to also realize the majority of women who get a BBL, they leave the country to do it. What's the reason why they leave the country? Because in America, they're only allowed to do a certain amount of procedures at one time. They're only allowed to take out a certain amount of fat at one time for safety purposes. But overseas, they're like, oh, you want 16 procedures a day? All right, cool. We give you a whole new body today. No problem. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's how a lot of people end up dying on the table, because they take out way more fat than they're supposed to take out, do way too many procedures, because the person flew all the way down there, and it ain't like they coming back next week or next month to go get it done again. So,
I mean, I think this has got to be people that do these things. I'm obviously not all, some not all, but I think we got to chalk it up to like some mental health issues, because I heard a guy the other day on Howard Stern who his thing was mutilating his genitals to where he's got a split head, right? He can pee at either side, I guess. He was mutilating himself so much the doctor, he wanted to be he wanted to be castrated, and the doctor wouldn't do it, but he had destroyed himself so much that the doctor finally did it. And he would do things like he would like cut his scrotum open, put his balls out on a plate, and have people like, it was nuts. So that, other than that, he sounded totally normal. but what I'm saying, yeah, I mean, like, you talk to him on the phone, you would never know something's wrong with this guy, right? But I'm thinking like these women that go to these different countries to get these procedures, it's got to be a mental illness, because I was thinking when you're saying all these things with the big needle and doing all these procedures, and I'm thinking it's almost like, you know, would you give your soul up to be famous and $1 million? You know, I almost saw a little Apple thing come up there. So my thing is this: there's no way in hell. I don't care how many views, how many likes, I would never go out and do something like that. You know, risk my life, have to sit on my stomach in a plane or whatever, not being able to sit on my behind for the plane ride, and then not being able to sleep on your backside. And I'm not saying they're doing it for guys, because I think they're doing it for themselves, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, that's got to be a mental illness. It's got to be tied in there.
So I think it's more. I think the majority of women that do this, I think it's more financially based than mental illness, right? So you're doing that to your body for one or two reasons. Either you have low self-esteem, or you want to get paid and you don't want to do a lot of work to get paid. When you think about it, when you go to these other countries like Mexico and DR, you throw a couple $1,000s at a doctor, he gives you a fat ass, big tits, and now you're making thousands of dollars on Instagram, right? It's an easy way. You don't even have to work for it. You don't got to spend three years in a gym with a personal trainer. You don't even have to eat right. You don't even have to eat right. You can eat like a pig, and a doctor will move your fat around to where it's attractive. You know? So it's laziness, it's cheating like anything else, and humans are always going to cheat. Humans are always going to cheat and find the fastest route to money. They're always going to cheat, right?
And,
that's why they do it.
And in addition to what you said, yes, they do it for that reason. And I've heard girls say, "Oh, it don't matter. I ain't got to work. I'll just get it sucked back out if I gain weight." They because it was that easy. But then I saw that somebody posted this, that they said that 85% of women that they talked to said that they wouldn't get it. I just started asking that question recently, and I was surprised because the majority have told me yes. I just started asking it, so I haven't asked many people. So I'm interested over time what that's looking like. But a lot of them are saying that they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I'm saying, well, Nicki Minaj just said she wished she wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Cardi B has spoken on she wished she wouldn't have done it. So now, you know, as the years go on, we're getting to hear the other side of the BBL story. When it was hot and popping, everybody just ran out and get it. Now, as I said, years later, in 30, 40, 50 years, we're really going to see the effects of these bodies, mentally and physically, right? We don't know how long the lifespan of these women are going to be. We don't know if it shortens their lifespan. We don't know if it beats up on their organs. We do not know. Their blood vessels. We don't know. In 30, 40, 50 years, we will start looking at this very differently. But as you see, they're already morphing into regret. Okay, they're already morphing into regret. Louis Kanye, welcome to the panel. What say you? Do BBLs attract broke men?
I would say yes and no. Are any of y'all familiar with the Hot Inside Venus?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
Sarah Bartman.
Yeah, yes. But I think what happened was, if you look at from the early urban hip hop culture from the 80s and 90s, African American and Latino women were known to be very curvaceous. And that was like, if you're part of a certain tribe, this is what you're going to be attracted to. Just like, you know, my European brothers, they're the ones that have the flat back Beckys. But what happened? Yeah, the flatbacks, the ironing boards. But during the late '90s, during I think it was the '90s, where you had the reality shows, and who were the queens of plastic surgery? White women. And you see like Mafia Wives and all these reality shows with the white women where they would get, they face all fucked up with the over exaggerated cheeks and sticking the stuff into the lips. And I think us as a culture, because our women were naturally curvaceous, we're going to follow what white people do. And mostly the black women and some Hispanics, they went out to over exaggerate their bodies, but they're naturally that way. And like with with the Instagram models, they had the stuff where it was prominently with the African women where they would drink this high sugary fructose drink like bottle of stuff. They were targeting towards black women to make their hips and their ass even bigger. And there used to be a lot of advertisements of this on Instagram. And now this look is part of pop culture now, with the byproduct of the reality shows, and we're in the technological age where everything is on this damn phone and we're swiping, and this is what is being imprinted in men's mind.
Okay. I'm like, read.
Probably got a call or something.
No, my AirPod went dead. Sorry. And this is what the young men's, their minds is being imprinted of. This is the standard of beauty of the social media age. And the females looking like, hey, either it's for monetary gain, because this is what is very pervasive, especially on the OnlyFans and the adult entertainment industry now, is with these women with all this plastic surgery. And it's like either it's for monetary gain, because we live in a whole trick culture also. That's the byproduct of the social media age now. It's like, I'm going to get these aesthetics to attract the men. And that's my 2 cents. I don't know if I made any sense or anything, but that's what I have to contribute.
I'm Abby, I'm already starting to cringe. Like, it's gotten to the point now when they pop up sometimes, I'm like, the first thing I think of, like, you purposely did this? Like, is this
Did you pay for that?
you like that?
Real quick, sidebar. If you want to support this show, Cash App on the Block with Jen. It is scrolling at the bottom, or you could super chat me. Help Mama keep the street lights on as we continue talking about this very interesting phenomenon. Afro beats. As you guys know, I love me some Afro beats and some reggaeton. And sometimes I watch their mixes online, their music video mixes. The women, that are in music videos are not only gorgeous, but so refreshing to watch. I implore you, watch a mix, like a compilation, like a series of Afrobeat music videos where they're doing like 20 or 30 in a row. All the women are natural. And it just took me back to the 90s, because I guess the BBL isn't, running amok where they're from. So all the women are natural, and it looks so beautiful and so refreshing and so light, right? That's another thing. The BBL makes you look heavy and miserable. It's kind of like being obese, except your waist is shrunk. But the top and the bottom looks uncomfortable. It looks uncomfortable. It looks like, they're walking. We've seen Nicki Minaj. She needs help going up the stairs at award shows. Cardi B needs help going up the stairs at award shows. They're literally handicapping themselves. Literally, at such a young age, they're handicapping themselves, which is wild to me.
I want to know, like when did it, like, I'm thinking back to what you're saying. Like the woman in Rump Shaker, the check baby woman, right? Mm-hmm. That was natural, right? As far as I remember.
Yeah, these girls were natural.
Women were slim though.
What's that?
They were slim. Rump shaker. Those girls were
Yeah,
slim.
yeah. I guess compared to the BBLs, but that's kind of why I guess that the BBLs kind of snuck up on me, is because looking at a woman like that, I mean, they were natural. They weren't over exaggerated, but they weren't small either.
Yeah, just natural black women. And that's what Louis Kanye was saying when white women started buying black women bodies. Black women was like, oh, well, I will not be outdone by Becky and them. So they just went and pumped it up a little bit more, But, to Jen's point, right? These surgeries are aging them both physically and visually, right? With the face, because I'm a big face person. Being a makeup artist, I'm big on facial. I can tell when someone changes anything on their face, right? Which I realize that's something that most people can't tell, because I can tell people when people start touching their face early, and I'm like, you didn't see that? Y'all don't see? Because I was saying that about Little Kim years before people started talking about it. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, y'all don't see this girl is like changing her face every week. But with faces, right? Too much of a good thing is a real thing. Meaning, if you already look feminine and then you do a makeup style that is meant to feminize a man's face, but you already are feminine and you're already a woman and you do that style, it's going to harden your face. It's going to make you look like a man that transitioned to be a woman, right? But you can be a beautiful, gorgeous, because you already have the features. You don't need to exaggerate them. Same thing with the work. When they start doing this work on young women, it makes them look older. There's no reason why these young 25-year-old girls should look like 40-year-old women that look good for their age. Like I look at Kylie Jenner, she looks like a 45-year-old woman that looks good for her age.
Yeah, and she's early 20s. Early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that I don't understand. Another thing I don't understand about these surgeries is the trends, right? When I look at these women like Black China, Rob Kardashian's baby mama, and what's the other rapper she got a kid with? A little one.
Tyga?
Yeah, Tyga, baby mama, Black China. She had to remove the fillers in her face because they have a trend where, and you see it on Jada Pinkett Smith, there's a trend where they block off their jaw. That's one of the most confusing trends to me, because a woman's features are usually, you know what I mean? Right? There's more of a triangular, right, feature to a woman's face. And when you look at like Black China or Jada Pinkett Smith, like they have this surgery where it just like blocks your jaw, and then they look like this. And it's really weird to me, because that's a masculine feature. What do we talk about when we think about men, right? That jawline. Oh my God, did you see his jawline? And now that's a very confusing part of this whole body makeover. Why do they block off their jaws is very, very strange to me. And they make their chins bigger so they can have that curve. Very, very strange to me, because like you said, Lily, they end up looking like men that are trying to look like women. But maybe the doctors are doing the same type of surgery.
They are.
That they're doing on men.
No, they are. I can tell. That's why I'm making that statement, because it's giving me the same effect as when you do drag makeup on a woman, which is what they're doing now. Like these makeup styles, that heavy makeup, that is drag makeup. And that's why they're looking older and harder. Because you see a lot of these girls without the makeup and you're like, she's actually pretty. Like she looks soft and feminine and just like, why did you do it? Yeah. So it's the same thing. The surgery that they're doing is the same surgery, I can tell. And it makes them look hard.
But going back to drag queens, I have to agree with you, because we not only see that with the bodies, because I saw a documentary, the drag queens were putting the padding in of the huge hips and the padding of the huge boobs, the big rubber boobs, right? And cinching their waist. But also in the makeup, like, where did those eyelashes come from?
Those are hair weaves.
What, you want to know where those eyelashes came from?
Where?
That came from the prostitutes. I think it was either France or England. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
the prostitute's name. She had them made to protect her. They called cumbrellas. That's what they were actually called, cumbrellas. So when men, they do their thing and they ejaculate, it will prevent the semen from getting into the eyes. They're actually called cumbrellas.
All right. So
That explains everything.
that's a fun fact. That's a fun fact. Although I don't think these girls are that worldly or cultured. I think that they just want to exaggerate everything on their body, their lips, right? They want their noses tiny. They want their eyes to look exaggerated. That's why the lashes are, doing this, the boobs, the butt with the tiny little waist. That's a fun fact, though. I'm gonna look into that. I may
Right.
need some umbrellas. You never know, right? Better safe than sorry.
I got something.
Um, yeah, you never know. Uh,
Hey, what they say? If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
But
Lily,
oh,
Lily,
sorry.
go ahead, Lewis. Go ahead.
No, it seems like everybody is going for the Jessica Rabbit look.
Mhm.
It seems
Which
like
is
everybody's
a
trying to look
caricature,
like Jessica Rabbit.
yes, which is a caricature of a woman. She's a
Yeah,
cartoon. But there's also someone had mentioned it before, but there's also a very sexual element to it. There's a very sexual element to it. And I'm just gonna listen. This is Kimbella's gonna have to be the example for tonight. When we look at what this woman is pronouncing, you see the vagina. Okay. She is exaggerating the vagina so you can see it. And as you guys know, there's a procedure to inject fat into your vagina. So it's a very sexual thing. She wants us to see her pussy. Let's not pretend that that's not what's going on here. She wants to pronounce her pussy so you can look at it and see it because that gets clicks and views, right? We also see it in the gym. I can't go to the gym now without seeing a girl who pulled tights up the crack of her ass. Must be pulled up in between her ass cheeks. Sexual in nature. Are these women also addicted to attention? And are they monetizing attention? Because a lot of these women are either single, miserable, having the worst of a time with their baby fathers publicly, right? So it can't be that they're doing this to snag a man or get a man. I think it's a combination of money and attention. Attention is currency. People are addicted to it.
And I want to say you were very nice to Kimbella because Orlando and I rode around there to her page about a week or two ago. And that picture that you're using in the thumbnail is the best picture I've seen of this woman because if these people see her from the back or walking or it's scary. Like that's the best picture. So
I
this
did see her walking. I saw a video of her walking. Yeah. And I put a picture of a centaur next to her because that is what her body is giving. And I'm just like, you cannot tell me that that isn't going to have really bad effects for her body in some years to come. There's no way you can carry around. And also, the size of her ass in particular, that can't just be fat that she removed from another body. It can't be. It's too large. There has to be something else stuffed in there.
I'm gonna tell you it's another ass stuffed in there because this is what happens. And somebody touched on it earlier. Your body changes, right? So a lot of them get these things done because Kimbella used to be your size naturally. And then she went away because she had the BBL when she was your size. But then she just naturally got bigger. So then there was more ass on top of the ass that she bought. And that's what happened to Nicki Minaj. That's what happened to Jessica Dime. Like when they get pregnant, another ass goes on top of the ass that they just put there. And that's one of the other issues. They start getting all this work done young. Well, you got a whole nother body coming later on. So it's like, we don't know how this story's going to go. So that's another thing.
Right. And also, what's her name? Kylie Jenner.
Yep. Yep.
Fake ass, tits, waist.
Everything. And she started getting hers done at like 16. Yeah. Because she looks completely different now. I will say, the first batch of work, that was money well spent. She needed that money needed to be spent. Okay. Now, anything after that is up for debate. But that first one, I'm not going to debate anybody on that. I said what I said. What's the Nene Leaks? I said what I said. But the other ones are up for debate. Yeah, layers of ass. Layers and layers of ass.
I'm trying to pull up her page here.
Who, Kimbella?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she posted something. Oh, no. I was going to something and I pushed the search button and she was there on the Explore page. And I was like, what is this? And I clicked on it and I was like, Kimbella, what are you doing? Like,
no, not Kimbella. What are you doing?
It looked like it hurt. I'm like, are you in pain, girl? Like, what? That don't even look like it's comfortable. You got to walk around and carry all that around.
Yeah, and it just looks unsightly. However, again, these women have millions of followers. So obviously men are attracted to it. But again, dissecting the personality or psyche or mindset of these men, who are these men? Are they quote unquote broke men? Do BBLs attract broke men?
Not on Instagram. I think any man will push the follow button. But as far as bringing the woman into his life, that's a different kind of man. Because Instagram, there's no commitment, there's no money spent, there's no one has to see or know unless they happen to follow that same girl and they like Jen sees that Tristan or Haran or No Saints. And
right, I always catch the guys in these likes.
Can I say something? Or are you finished, Lily?
Yes.
I kind of agree with the statement, because if you look at it, where, especially in an impoverished area where people are economically castrated, they maybe emasculated and have no power. Sex is the outlet that a lot of men will gravitate to, and this is something I said this like a couple months on your stream. Like, sex is a reward for accomplishing something, but unfortunately, with black men, sex is the actual accomplishment. But now that is going to a large, like, no race included, it's with a lot of men. And if I have no power or no conquest out in the world, my energy is going to be directed through sex, because besides power, sex is the only thing that validates my manhood. And especially in a hood where, especially when I came up, it's what validates you as a man is your propensity for violence and how many sexual conquests you had as a teen to validate you amongst the females and your peers out there in the hood. But since you have a lot of sexually frustrated men, look at the people that spending millions of dollars on OnlyFans. Until this day, pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
No recession.
Yeah. You have sex dolls that's blowing up. Like, I don't want to really put this out here, but I work with a friend that throws sex parties, swinger parties, and they have things where they sell bondage material. They got sex dolls. They got areas where people they worship feet, and they be selling this stuff like it's a supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
And sex sells. And if I'm a female and I could go on OnlyFans, or it's like the over exaggerated stripper now. since I guess strippers ain't making money, they went to the OnlyFans route, or the adult the hardcore adult industry part, where you have this, and I guess the body paid over 10 times fold for some women, but down the line people are getting buyer's remorse, like you said, where as they get older and that fat is developing over that posterior and is making their mobility even harder now. And I see some of these females around here, and they don't look natural. And to me, it's an actual turnoff. But for the people out there, it's an actual turn on, because you can look at the bodies and tell it's unnatural.
Yeah, it
Like they
just
have padding, like
right,
what
like a diaper.
what are the what were they called, the drag queens with the over exaggerated padding and everything in the outfits when they be doing the drag shows? That's what those BBLs look like. It look like they
Yeah,
got padding inside their clothes. It
yeah,
doesn't look natural.
that's exactly what they look like. Exactly what they look like.
I want to pull this comment up. Lovely Lisa says Jackie O, which is DC Young Fly's the mother of his children, who literally killed herself with the BBL. She was fine the day of the BBL, though she was saying she was in a lot of pain, and she had a bad headache. Next day, woke up dead. Okay, internal bleeding and all kinds of things. So they basically put her in a coffin with a brand new BBL. Right. So she did say, this is true, lovely Lisa, this is true. She openly said it was hard keeping up with the younger women coming up behind her. She insinuated peer pressure. I believe DC Young Fly, of course, played a huge part. I do believe that her baby daddy did play a huge part. And I say this not loosely. I say it because I saw their videos together where he would talk to her, and he was very, very nasty towards her, to the point where, and this was before she was deceased, to the point where I just pitied her. I just felt so bad that such a beautiful young girl with so much potential had this thing on her arm, a DC Young Fly, just talking to her all kinds of ways and criticizing her body. And this was in public. This was on their videos. So I can't even fathom how he treated her behind the scenes. I don't know why she was attracted to him. I don't know why she was with him, and no one can say money, because she got with him when he had nothing, zero, zip. However, listening to her father talk after she died, after the BBL, listen to her father talk at the funeral, it kind of makes sense why she would gravitate towards a DC Young Fly. Still very, very sad. So there is a death element to this that isn't talked about enough. This is, the BBL is one of the most, if not the most, I think it's the most dangerous procedure, surgical procedure out there. Women are dying on these tables. I want to pull up something Tristan said, which is interesting. He said, "Why are we still looking for validation from the hood?" I'm gonna pull up Joe Budden's girlfriend. He's had this girlfriend for many, many years. Do you think? And he's rich, right? I mean, if you
Yeah.
believe if you believe a Google search, net worth says 6 million to 25 million. I know that's a stretch in between, but he has a very, very, one of the most successful podcasts online right now. So his net worth says 6 million to 25 million. Either way, any million is a good million if you know how to flip money. So is Joe Budden, now he's an affluent, wealthy Black man. He can get any model, you know what I mean, around the world. And I'm going to pull up his girl here. So going to what Tristan said, is he still kind of like in that urban mindset where he's still looking for approval from the hood? Because remember, these bodies are extremely popular in urban areas. So do you think he's still mentally in the hood and he thinks, yeah, this girl will get me the attention, you know what I mean, that I want from the hood? I'm going to click on a couple of her pictures so you can see what she looks like. She's also a caricature of a woman. She talks about her BBL as well. So it's not a secret. those are the results of her BBL. This is what she looks like. As you see, the often misshapen bullet wound belly button. Looks like it always reminds me of a bullet wound.
Yes.
The waist is snatched. The belly button is raised much higher than it actually goes because they're pulling on the stomach. So it stretches the belly button. But as you can see, the stomach looks hard. The hips are protruding. The breasts are protruding. That is a BBL body right there. That is what it looks like, I guess, on the beach or the pool. Do men find this attractive?
That looks so weird. Like it looks botched to me, and I'm not trying to be funny, but that's why.
It looks like an accident. It doesn't look like you.
Yeah.
That's to look.
Like look at go up a little bit, go and you see with the bikini on. Look at that. That looks like weird, like two different bodies.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a drawing. Like there's a one type of woman in the middle, and then another type of woman on the top and the bottom.
Right. It's like three different women there.
Right now,
that,
go ahead, no, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a little much. The boobs are really too big, and yeah, I mean it's over exaggerated for sure, but it gets your attention, ain't no doubt about it. But then, yeah, it's just like, God dang, you know. But it's yeah.
Oh my God,
that's a novelty.
Not that one. The one when it looked like they were together. This one. Yes. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy looking.
But, again, he's very attracted to this. Joe definitely has a type. We've seen him, you know what I mean, with these women, and they're always quite large. Now, again, remember, she's paid to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
She paid to look like this. This was a very conscious decision. And when we scroll up, 800, honestly, this is a low number. I thought she'd be in the millions by now, being Joe's girlfriend and, showing her body like this. So is this body sexual in nature? Does this yell sex?
Yes.
Is it a constant walking, like, sex toy?
That's what it gives me. It gives me blow up doll.
Yeah, I see your Jen.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I see your point about the monster truck thing. It's one of those things I'd be like, God, I'd like to take a spin.
Right.
But then would I want to have that around all the time? Probably not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like I can see a guy.
I wouldn't want to drive down the neighborhood streets in it. Right. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Why?
It only has one. But then the thing is, I'm telling you, saying that's the look, but they don't function well. So like you get them behind closed door, like womp womp.
Absolute 772 says, wait, are y'all saying they get BBLs to please men and something for themselves and not for themselves? Those BBLs are not for themselves. Those BBLs are lucrative. That's why they're getting those BBLs. And they
for the
also
men that are printed on currency. That's who they're doing it for.
yeah, those men. Absolutely. And they're getting it to keep up, right, with the other girls who are making lots of money. They're looking at these girls. It's just like, an impressionable little girl saying, oh my God, Cardi B went from stripper to rapper to world-renowned rapper. Well, shit, let me go clap my ass, right? And they're all putting pressure on each other to do it. I mean, look at Madonna's fake ass. It's absolutely hideous. Absolutely hideous. Probably one of the worst jobs I've ever seen. Absolutely hideous.
And Cardi.
It's laughable because you have like this geriatric looking woman and she turns around and there's two bowling balls hanging from her thighs. It just looks really, really silly.
I feel like a lot of these women are going to be given that because from what I understand, some of these things need to be touched up and tightened up and things like that. Like they need maintenance. And some of these girls use PPP money, they use tax returns or whatever. So yeah. And then another thing I found out a lot of women do too. They save up for the surgery procedure, but they don't save up enough for the aftercare, which is equally as important.
I've heard that a lot of them don't go back. Matter of fact, Joe Budden spoke about that. He has to, he spoke about that on his podcast. He said that he's had to massage his girlfriend. You have to massage certain parts of the woman. You know what I mean? First of all, you got to massage the boobs so it doesn't, the scar tissue doesn't form. And that's something that these women don't think about. They have, like you said, legally enough money for the surgery, but there's a lot of post-op that goes with that. You have to massage the stomach, and as this, it's a high maintenance procedure. That's why women end up taking their asses out and making their boobs smaller. What were you going to say, No Say?
No, I'm just laughing at the Hebrew Israelite we got in the chat. I've been reading all his comments. It's just, he keeps preaching. It's just funny.
Yeah.
He was talking about earlier about don't look at a butt. A butt is for like poop. And I'm thinking like, well, in that, if you're saying that, then don't look at the breast. The breasts are for milk.
Yes, somebody said breasts are for, but it's also, is it not also a Western thing? Isn't it not also America that puts a lot of emphasis on tits and ass? You go so many places around the world and men aren't acting like that. Women are half naked. You go to Brazil, women are running around like some places in Europe. Isn't it here the emphasis is more on women's body parts or sexualized? They're sexualized here more so than in other places.
Yeah, and America's very like in a like.
Well,
it's weird. It's like we're over sexualized and prudes at the same time. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, how are you an over sexualized prude, America? But we managed to do it.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, but you're right. But I would say like in other countries, I mean, it depends on where you go, obviously. And, we've influenced a lot of other countries as well. Because you go to Southeast Asia, it's a little bit different. But if you go to like the Middle East, they don't let their women show anything. So yeah, it's totally different. They cover them all up. So, but yeah, it's more of a. I think you're right. I think we definitely it's a Western thing for the most part that is spread to other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm. So there's another element to this where what Louis Conyer was saying, the Venus Hottentot Sarah Bartman was a sideshow, a circus sideshow. She was an African woman who had a very large behind, and she was part of a sideshow, and they treated her like an animal in a zoo, and they used to go look at it. Now women are volunteering to look like Sarah Bartman. Oh, how quickly things change over time.
Because every now and then I would see a woman's shaped like her. Every now and then in my life, in my 42 years on this earth, you'll see one. This is way before a word BBL was even concocted, right? Which shows you that this is not a naturally made body that's overly exaggerated like this with a real small waist and then the gigantic ass. Like it's a rarity, and it's a deformity, and that's what it gives me when I look at it. I look and see a deformed woman, and I can't help but to think, that's what you wanted. Like, is this what you were?
You paid for that?
You were going for that?
So this is what's weird. This is what's weird to me when it comes to men. And there's a man on the panel. Maybe you can explain, No Saint, or chat. Maybe you can, because there are more urban men in the chat. You guys like big asses and big tits, so maybe you can explain better than No Saint can, or anyone who's lurking. Here's what's bizarre to me, because I'm a people watcher. I'm a little sponge. I'm a writer, so I'm constantly looking at people and what they're saying, and I see a lot of my guy friends. Not my close friends, but I see a lot of my guy friends in these comments and in these likes, and I'm like, you over there? And it honestly, it makes me look at the men differently. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, oh, you a cornball. Like you look at this and see a real thing. You're corny, right? But I also think that men, they have a very pack mentality. So they got to go like what other men are liking because it proves, oh, I'm a man too, right? Even if they don't like it, even if they wouldn't want it. What's bizarre to me when I look at male behavior is I'm looking at, when it comes, respectfully, Lily, you could jump in here at any time. When it comes to non-binary or transgender, right? There is a real fat, deep line drawn in the sand. You're not that, right? You're not a woman. You're not a man. I can see it. You still look like a woman. You still look like a man, right? On both sides, people that are trans female and trans male. And I'm talking about that line is drawn with a fucking bulldozer to remind you that you are not that, right? So when I see these women on Instagram, I'm like, and I see these men praising them, and even women complimenting them. Because if you go to Lala Anthony, Carmelo Anthony's ex, Lala Anthony, if you go to Lala Anthony's comments, I scroll and I am floored. I am floored at the women and the men that are complimenting her body. So my point is, do you not see? And you know, because we all know somebody like Lala Anthony from decades ago. She was built like a wisdom tooth. So we all know now that that body didn't come out the air. She laid down, paid a lot of money to get, you know what I mean, that hourglass figure. Yet all the men that would criticize and bash a trans woman are literally in those comments complimenting a surgeon's work. It's not even real. Like, they had to stuff her breasts to look like that. They had to stuff her hips to look like that. They had to stuff her ass. And your dumbasses are really in the comments complimenting fat being pushed around.
Yeah, I will say this. That's where, in my mind, I realize that, yeah, it doesn't matter to men. It really doesn't. Because there are so many now trans women that you wouldn't be able to tell unless they told you. And yet they're pretty, right? Now, if you saw their old pictures when they before they transitioned, you would see the more masculine features. But you can't. It's one of those things where I know what you're saying, because like I'll look at women that have a lot of work done, cis women, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, they didn't look like that before. You know, they might have. You know, some women, they got the Roman nose and they get it fixed up, but okay. But then you got to tell yourself, if you have babies, you're not going to get those genetics, but you're still attracted to these people, right? So I'm just gonna say, I don't think men care, and at the end of the day, because yeah, I've questioned myself. Like, what if you see a woman, then you see her high school picture, and you wouldn't have paid her a look in high school, but now she's an 8 or a 7. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's all fake. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, men just, is your eyes are attracted to what they're attracted to. So I don't know. It's a good question.
You both brought up two wonderful points. I'm so glad you did. Right? You did. You both brought up really good points. Jen, right message, right messenger. Because if I were to say it just sounds like I'm hating, right? But no, that's like some real shit. Like, they'll look at this one thing and be willing to play make believe, but not look at this other thing and be willing to play make believe. But I'm gonna go with, but there's something you said and there's something that No Thing said that answers that question. It's the pack mentality. See, they'll act like they like a thing that they don't like and act like they don't like a thing that they do like, according to what the pack is saying. Because if they see a beautiful trans woman that looks like a beautiful woman, they're not going to give a damn. They're just going to see a beautiful woman and be turned on or be like intrigued or whatever. Not to say that they'll go there, but they're not going to give a damn. Right? Just like they don't give a damn. So they're willing to play make believe. That's why it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's the pack mentality. It's the situation.
I mean, it's hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is thick as fuck. The hypocrisy is thick as fuck. So you suspend your disbelief. You suspend your disbelief for this woman who paid to get her fat sloshed around in her body. You suspend disbelief. You know that it's surgery. You can look at a Kimbella. You can look at Joe Budden's woman. You can look at these women and say that. You can look at a Kardashian. You can look at Lala Anthony. You can look at them and see that's a caricature. It's not real. They had to stuff her ass to look like that. They had to stuff her tits to look like that. They had to break ribs. Women are breaking ribs now to make their waist smaller. You can look at that, suspend disbelief, right? It's like and with the knowledge, you have knowledge that these women got hundreds of thousands of surgeons, suspend disbelief. Like, yeah, I like what I'm looking at. But then hypocritically, you won't suspend disbelief when a biological man is now a woman and a beautiful woman who, if no one told you, you'd be attracted to. But then you find out and it's like, oh no, I wouldn't. But that's because you found out.
No, that's just because people are present. Trust me on
that. Yeah, Lily, I agree. That and the fact that psychologically they still have this thing in them that if I like this woman, a transgender woman, then I must be gay, and they want to be anything but gay, right? Even though it has, if you're attracted to the femininity of a trans woman and she, it's not like you're attracted to guys, right? So yeah, I absolutely believe you're right. Like in front of their friends, they'll be like, ain't no way in hell.
I live a life full of, my whole life is watching people lie. It's about this. Like literally, I watch it every day long. So, I mean, I let people live though, because I get it. I understand, right? I get it. I'm gonna let you live.
You would need 500 more years. And here's the thing. They even do that. Men are so hypocritical. They even do that with biological women. You know how many guys, we've seen it here on the panel. You know how many guys come through here and act like I'm not attractive? Baby, I'm a lot of things. Not attractive isn't one of them, honey. But even men do it, right? They'll call other men simps that agree with me. They'll try to say I'm unattractive. They'll try to compare me to looking like a man. She looks like such and such. She got a six-pack. She's masculine. They try it with biological women. They try to hit and bash you, right? Where they know, right? Where they know there are untruths. I'm an attractive woman. And hella attractive for my age, if you want to say that too. I know what I look like when I look in the mirror. Not one of these bums could convince me otherwise. But that's where they go with it, right? So that's how you know. It's like, and it takes a sense of just being a real person, an intelligent person, an honest person, a humble person to be able to say, hey, I don't like that person, but I'm not going to lie. Like when they hate don't work, they start telling lies in this bitch, right? Nicki Minaj, I don't like her. I don't like Nicki. I don't particularly like Nicki Minaj. I don't particularly like Jennifer Lopez. I don't particularly like Kevin Hart. But I would never say that Kevin Hart isn't a thorough motherfucker. He built an empire from nothing. I would never say Jennifer Lopez is not attractive and her hustle ain't one of the best hustles I've ever seen in this fucking business. I don't care if she can't sing or can't dance or can't act. That motherfucker remained relevant for decades in a business that will chew you up and spit you out. And she did it throughout working out and looking good and going through man after man after man and being called all types of hoes and tricks, everything but a child of God. And she's still here in your face. I can't walk into a fucking mall and not see Jennifer Lopez plastered with all kinds of different brands. And she looks amazing. Now, because I wouldn't hang out with her, I'd look pretty stupid sitting up here and saying that she's whack or she's not attractive. And that's what men do. Men try to make women unattractive, be they biological or trans. That is why men do. That's why I don't take them seriously at all. I don't like Nicki Minaj. I think she's one of the best rappers we've ever seen.
Right.
I don't think Kevin Hart is funny, but I think he's one of the best businessmen regarding comedy that we've ever seen. You see how easy that was for me? My arm didn't fall off. But what these idiots do is they come up here. She's unattractive. Who's that? She's unattractive. Like, no, that doesn't work when your esteem is intact. It's
Not
weird.
at all.
It's weird.
Not at all. When your esteem is attacked and you've seen people lie and then go around and, hey, now that no one's looking, can I get your number? Like when you've seen that 1,000 times, you're just like, I already know how this goes. I've been doing this my whole life. So
I really believe, like, I see one of the comments in there saying it's not the same thing, and I think they're referring to like the surgery that women have versus the surgery that trans women have. And I really think guys tend to want to lie to themselves, right? Because it is the same thing if you think about it. Like if you see someone and you didn't know, you couldn't even tell looking at them that they were trans and they were a 9 or a 10. It's the same attraction as if you looked at a woman that's a 9 or 10. There's really no difference. It's the same thing. Now, the difference is that you have a problem, in your heart, in your mind or whatever. You have a problem that you're attracted to someone that was born a male, and you don't want to admit that it's that kind of attraction. Attraction is attraction. I mean, I think people people tend to lie to themselves. Yeah.
Interesting. With that said, this is a very interesting conversation, but I think we are wrapped, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to come back to this, though, at some point, especially with Haran DeMarco up here. I'm sure he has some glittery things to say about this topic. But again, did we answer the question? Do BBLs attract broke men? I would say for the most part, generally, yes, absolutely. But again, I explained it in the beginning. If you guys didn't see it, you got to rewind to the beginning. But I do think, just to answer the question generally, yes, I do think BBLs attract broke men. You can use the word broke to your, use it at your discretion. But I think for the most part, it means urban areas which have black, brown, I'll use your colors y'all like, black, brown, and broke white guys. I think it's a very urban thing.
Israelites. Israelites. Use that as well. Black, brown, Israelites.
I don't know. I didn't grow. I was in the hood my whole life. I didn't see no Israelites over there, so I don't know. They were in Manhattan, yes.
Before they went to prison, that's all.
Yes. Easy soldier. So you get about 2 or 3 shots of black men up here, and then I got to pull you over, sir. You got to hang tight. So, so my answer generally is yes. Of course, there are nuances to it, and people are gonna be like, "No, what do you mean by broke?" I just mean, a very urban mentality. I pulled up a guy here who's worth maybe 25 million, and he's running around with a BBL chick. But will a guy take that woman into a gala or charity event or around his CEO friends, the 1%ers, like No Saint said? I said no. I say no. It's embarrassing walking in with a Kimbella or that woman that's on Joe Budden's arm, walking into a gala. It's embarrassing. She will look obese. She will look misshapen. She will look overweight, right? And it doesn't look like money. You want to walk in with a woman that looks svelte, a trophy wife, someone that looks fit and slim. Shit, I'm 120 pounds now. I posted a picture the other day on Instagram. Mama looking slim thick in that picture. And I was even side-eyeing it like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? I can't go anywhere above that because I prefer and like looking like money. And when you put on a gown, honey, if you've seen me in that gown for that 50th Grammy hip hop, that's how a gown should fit. So I don't, I'm with I like being slim or whatever. So don't expect me to get bigger than that picture you saw. And even that picture I'm side-eyeing, Lily. I'm like,
I'm the same way, Jen. I saw a picture of me from 2019, and I was looking around the way thick, and I'm like, oh, I don't like around the way thick. Like I gotta But this was a year before I modeled. So once I started
Right.
modeling, I've been
Right.
no.
No, thank you. And I'll land the plane here, and then you guys can answer the question generally so we can close. I'll land the plane here. It is bullshit that Black and brown men like or only like big asses and big tits. And I will say that I've been around affluent Black men who even grew up in urban areas themselves, and I never got kicked out of bed. And I'm always getting invited out with them. So and I'm tiny. I'm a teeny tiny little thing. So what do you think, panel? So we could close. Do BBLs attract broke men? Because that is what this young lady was saying in the video.
Lily?
I agree with everything that young lady said in the video.
Oh.
I think that all people can be attracted to it. It's just but at the same time, like you said, you were never kicked out of bed or whatever. I think that's also true. I think guys will be attracted to it, but it doesn't mean they're not attracted to other forms as well. When I was growing up, like when you guys were growing up, big butts were like the thing, right? And the friends I had, they all liked women with big butts, but they wouldn't turn down a woman who didn't have a big butt. So with the BBLs, I think it's great to look at for some people, but I do agree with you that I don't think, I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. My proof, my tangible proof that this is an urban thing is because when I was very young, I was very upset that I didn't have the arroz con pollo tacos and the big ass and the big tits, because all the girls that were developing quickly in school, I was like, I want, you know what I mean? And I was in a very urban area. I've been in the Bronx, you know what I mean, my whole life. And the girls,
Yeah.
you know, they came back from summer vacation. Remember them years when the girls came back from summer vacation, they had tits and ass, and I was like, what happened to me? Eating, they came back from summer vacation. I said, these girls had tits and ass, and I did not. And I was like, oh damn, I'm not going to be attractive to these boys in the urban areas, in the urban schools.
That's what I'm saying.
However,
Yeah,
wait, land the plane here. However, when I got older and I became a woman and I hit the corporate life and I was downtown with men in suits from all walks of life, they were very attracted to me and I to them because they were something different. They had, great credit, and this is not race specific. I'm talking about everybody in the corporate world got their shit in order for the most part. They had great credit and nice cars and nice suits and great jobs. And I'm like, oh, this is different. This is interesting. I like this. And they like me as I am, as I come, right? At this. So oh darling, I'll call you right back. So yeah, I gotta close that. I gotta answer a call. But that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I'm just so happy now that I didn't grow that big ass and them thighs and them boobs, because they usually go bad as you age, like fruit. They go bad unless a woman is into fitness. All them girls, okay, we all got a Facebook. We see them girls now that had the big boobs and that big butt. You push out a couple of babies and it's like, girl, what happened? So I'm glad that, I was slim back then, because, now it's like, hi, in the gown.
Yeah, there's definitely that. There's the women and men, probably the women that were really developed in high school, the things that you were attracted to in high school, they normally, unless they kept their stuff in check, will not be that great looking in about 15 years. They're usually overweight. But what I want to say is, because I understand, like, that's why I'm having a trouble with this topic, because when I was growing up, that was, like you said, Jen, in the urban areas, in videos, that is what you were said that was attractive, right? So and so that's why I'm saying, well, is it just poor? Is it just people without broke guys, or is it just the culture that they were surrounded with is the reason they like it? Because not that there aren't wealthy black men as well, but I'm just saying, when you get into the corporate world, you're probably surrounded by a lot of white guys that didn't grow up as that being the end all be all. So that's why I'm stuttering over this, because I'm like, well, it could be their culture too. I mean, that's how I remember. I remember, like, I like big butts, and all the guys out, the school I
Right.
went to.
Well, I understand the trouble. I completely understand the trouble you're having with it. But urban is a culture, correct?
Yeah.
But being broke is a culture.
Yeah.
Being broke is a culture. Like, when you are broke and you're from the hood, you do shit culturally to make it look like you have money.
Yeah.
It is a culture. It is a culture. And when you go to corporate America, you're not dealing with this. Again, it's not race specific. I'm talking about black, brown, Asian, white men in corporate America, right? They didn't grow up being broke like that. So they view women and femininity completely different than you would in urban culture. And urban culture usually starts out as broke. Even when these guys make money, when you look at these rappers and they make a lot of money, they still carry themselves like they're broke. So they go after the woman that looks like that. And they still wearing the jewelry, except now they're wearing more jewelry, right? And they're getting bigger cars. So it's a mentality, really. Then you look at, a freaking, you know what I'm saying, a couple of real estate moguls who are black and brown, and they don't run around like that. And their women are usually very, very svelte. So I understand that the trouble you're having with this, no saint, but yeah, urban broke is a culture. It's a culture. A culture. Absolutely right. All right, guys. So with that said, we are out of here. That is our show for this evening. This was interesting. I like this topic a lot. Again, we'll probably have to revisit. We will certainly revisit it on Sisterhood Sips, honey. And we will be talking about it differently over there, as we talk about every subject differently over there. It's on its own channel. Sisterhood Sips is on its own channel. We got featured on World Star Hip Hop. We got featured on Suede the Remix God. We've got millions of spins on Instagram and Twitter weekly. The show is popping. It's one of the fastest growing shows Lily and I have ever worked on. It is spelled CIS, Sisterhood Sips. It's on its own YouTube page, and it has its own Instagram account. So go check us out, guys. The clips are bananas. Let me remove this banner so you can follow us on our YouTube pages, Lily at YB Limited, be it on the Block with Jen, YouTube at Saint No Saint. We will see you here mañana. Don't forget, on the Block with Jen Cash App if you want to support the show. Also on the Block with Jen at Gmail if you guys want to suggest some topics. I got some of y'all emails. Some of them are trash. Some of them are stupid. Some of them I have to get back to. Ladies, thank you so much for supporting me. I got some great email from some of the ladies on Gmail. Some of you dudes are in there acting a monkey ass fool. I don't have the time. You know who you are. And with that said, good night, guys. Be good. Thank you for contributing in the chat as well. Good night.
Good night.
Hit that like and subscribe on your way out for mama. Thank you.